Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Booked, a place to explore the realms of creativity. Today's guest is Brie Eberhart. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
I'm good, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show. This has been a long time coming. There's been all sorts of things coming at us, mostly at me, and then you're having to reschedule stuff. So thank you so much for finally being here. We made it. Screw the technical difficulties. We have arrived. Very pleased to have you on the show. So that sounded a little bit game show hosty. I don't know
I'm
why.
excited to be here.
I'm excited. I think sometimes the audacity catches up with me, and then I forget who I am for a moment, and I get all confident, and then I'm like, no, don't be confident. You're not a confident person.
I feel like I should just do like The Price is Right, where I'm just like, pick me in the crowd.
I think the odds would be in your favour because there's just you in the audience.
Yes.
Oh goodness, well, I'm glad that we're already having fun. This is a good start. What I would like to do is to dive straight in and talk about your books. Because one of the main reasons that we're doing this thing is to talk about you as a writer, and what better way than to start talking about your work. So if you are happy to, could you please give our listeners an overview of your books and what to expect from them?
Yeah, of course. So my first book is Strangers in Our Heads. It's an upper young adult contemporary fantasy. Its sequel just came out this past October called Strangers in Our Hearts. Basically, book one is slightly different than book two because it's pretty much building the foundation. It's a dual point of view. All the characters have some sort of special ability.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they find each other through each other's dreams. They don't actually know that the other one exists in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So Gemma, my main character, this is not a spoiler. It's on the back of the book, I swear, in the blurb.
Mm-hmm.
She loses her sister, and her
Mm-hmm.
power explodes, and she can drain the life out of anything living.
Mm-hmm.
So now, fearful that she's going to hurt someone, she runs away, and that she's
Mm-hmm.
guided by the boy in her dreams, and she meets him in real life. So then she's kind of hanging out with his little misfit crew. He's like the leader of a ragtag group of mutants.
Mm-hmm.
So this entire time, the authorities are hunting down kids who are different. They don't really know why. They just know they need to hide more or less.
Mm-hmm.
So book one pretty much just covers the foundation of them meeting up in real life. You know the authorities are a threat, but you don't know a lot about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we lead into book two. They realize in book one, I just used the word mutants. They don't actually know that they're mutants. They don't know why they're
Okay.
different.
Mm-hmm.
So in book two, they put a word to it. They find out
Mm-hmm.
that there's a gene mutation. Basically, the world the is ending more or less.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be contemporary fantasy, but you start getting a lot of the pollution, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it adds a lot more sci-fi elements in book two. So while it's still contemporary fantasy, I've been leaning more towards science fantasy with book two because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
technology introduced, and you find out a lot about the authorities. The authorities are actually using radio waves
Mm-hmm.
to mind control civilians. And the reason why they're hunting the mutants is because their affected genes make them like they're not able to be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
So we're leading into basically book three is more or less going to be the war, like the fallout between the two
Ooh,
groups of people. So that's what we're building to. So book one is
awesome.
just very much Theo and Gemma. It focuses on them. They're a little
Mm-hmm.
tiny group. Book two, lots of world building gets introduced, expands
Mm-hmm.
with that sci-fi. So it's been a fun adventure, just learning about different superpowers more or less that these kids
Mm-hmm.
have, whether they want them or not.
What a pitch. I was like, I've already read the first one, and I was like, oh yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it, by the way.
Thank you.
I as I've said in previous interviews, I don't normally read like things with fantasy elements because I am easily confused. I like a really traumatic, violent, weird book. And so this wasn't in that category.
Yeah.
So again, like I've said in other episodes, I've been reading books that I wouldn't have touched before. I wouldn't necessarily look at that book and go, okay, that's something that I'm gonna, pick up and read. I'm
Yeah.
so glad I did because it was such a fun adventure, and it's
Thank you.
one of those stories where you could tell the writer you had a great time writing it. Like you can tell that you were very enthused with telling the story, and it's very cool. Is it something that you've had in your head for a while? Is it like, oh, I'm going to write a book, and then you wrote a book? What's the timeline like for you?
So it's funny. It's actually not the first book I've ever written. It's just the first one
Hmm.
I've published.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually my second book. But I lost a really good friend of mine in 2019.
Oh.
So I
Mm-hmm.
used a lot of that grief, like Gemma's grief is kind of my own
Mm-hmm.
grief, because I started writing this the same year. It's actually funny, Draven in book one, he is the first character that came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
There's a psychic town in New York about an hour and a half away from me called Lilydale. And
Mm-hmm.
about 6 months after losing my friend, I went to this psychic town just to like walk around and whatnot. And I noticed that a lot of houses were for sale. And I've been there before. Like this, it's an entire town that like mediums like live there basically.
That's
Um,
cool. I didn't know that.
yeah, so when I went back in 2019, so many houses were for sale. And I was like the one thought was like what's running all these mediums out of their own homes? And then that was when
Mm-hmm.
Draven was born. Um so and then it just kind of
That's
snowballed
cool.
from there. And then
Yeah.
I write to process things. So I
Mm-hmm.
just poured a lot of my own grief into Gemma with losing her sister, and then it kind
Mm-hmm.
of just expanded from there.
Wow. So from the moment that you first had the idea to create this story to the moment that you published it, how long was that?
Um, about 3 years, because I finished it in
Mm-hmm.
2019. I did start querying it in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get an agent, and then I ended up deciding to self-publish.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of going back and forth, just because I mean, I'm a self-published author now, but leading
Mm-hmm.
into it, I knew how many hats you had to wear, and I just like was not ready at that time. So
Okay.
I spent a lot of time just kind of trying to learn the ropes. So I wrote the book in 2019, and then I self-published it myself in 2023. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah. I did write another book since then. That's
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually querying agents with that book now, and
Mm-hmm.
then I wrote book two, Strangers in Our Hearts, last year and published it the same year. So
Wow.
now I've been kind of more. I am querying agents, but Strangers is like top of my list, like getting book
Mm-hmm.
three out. So I've been more self-publishing than I've been worrying about doing the traditional route lately.
Well, I mean, that's your like little baby, right? You did
Yes.
everything for that.
Yep.
You created it and you packaged it up and you gave it to the
The people.
readers. Gave it to the people off your own back, and you
Yeah.
also, as you say, you wear many hats. You do the publicity and the marketing and the um dealing with people asking questions about it and organizing your own events and or
Yeah.
attending things and doing things like this that in the traditional world that would all largely be done for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that's why you were able to publish the second one so quickly, is that you were already prepared from the first time round and it was just the same again, if that makes sense?
Yes, I definitely would say so. It took me about 10 months. I wrote book two in about four, and then I spent about 3 months working with my editor. We did a couple rounds, passing it
Hmm.
back and forth, and then I still had like my beta readers, like writer friends and stuff. So it took
Hmm.
me about 10 months to get book two out. Um, but just knowing the ropes, I mean, self-publishing is never ending. I feel like I'm always learning something new, which is great
Hmm.
because you meet new writers and whatnot, and they tell you what they know, and it's just you're always kind of
Hmm.
building. But for the most part, just like learning how to format things and learning how Ingram Spark works and Amazon
Hmm.
KDP, like all that stuff, like I now
Hmm.
know, so it's not like as nerve-wracking. Like I know what a trim size is and stuff
Hmm.
like that, so a lot of the stuff is pretty easy now.
Hmm.
So it's nice being able to not worry about that part so much, but then it's just the other stuff, marketing, trying to get your name out there, all that stuff is never ending. So
It is never ending because the thing about marketing that I've noticed with books is that largely people will use social media, which is a fantastic tool. It's also social media is a cesspool and it's awful, but it's fantastic at the same time, especially for if you don't have the money to market yourself. It's the perfect thing because you can. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to market on social media. You can technically do it for free if you don't count your time
Yeah.
and your effort. But I know that you also have done in-person events. I think you've done some like launch day events at a bookstore. How have those gone for you? Was it enjoyable? Was it stressful? Was it worth doing?
Yeah, so I would say I actually believe it or not, I feel like this is shocking, but I feel like I have better luck in person than I do online, which was a shock to me. I really thought I was going to
Really?
have like more like random people finding me through Instagram, and that is
Mm-hmm.
like not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Um it could just be because like the community I live in, every
Mm-hmm.
like there's been a lot of people who are like, "Oh, you're a local author. Let me just buy your book because you're local and they want to
Yeah.
support me," and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
So whether they read it, I don't know, but it's nice
Hey,
that they
they
buy
bought
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I would say the in-person events are definitely worth it. I know that we've spoken about this before, but for
Mm-hmm.
the listeners, I have
Mm-hmm.
crazy social anxiety. So it is very mentally taxing to do the
Mm-hmm.
in-person events. But I kind of just try to turn on like my customer service persona where like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
just get through these 5 hours where you are not you and just get through it because you're
Uh-huh.
just pitching your book over and over
Mm-hmm.
and over. So I would say it's worth it. There has been a couple events. I would say the book events specifically are worth it because I've been
Mm-hmm.
to a couple. I've been out of state now. If it's book centric, I would say it's
Mm-hmm.
100% worth it.
Okay.
Um, but I would say like the other like vendor type events where it's just like craft shows and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, where people are like buying like everything,
Mm-hmm.
those have been kind of hit or miss just
Mm,
because
okay.
like people aren't specifically going to like a farmer's market to buy a book. So like
Yeah.
you can't really like, so like sometimes you might sell one or you might sell 20, like it all depends.
Mm.
So it's just kind of like, do what you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
um so I would say it was definitely worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Social media, I feel like I've tried twisting my I got sick of trying to be salesy all the time, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to keep posting, like, buy my book. So I've kind of changed that to posting anything that I want to and just kind
Mm-hmm.
of being like a reminder of, like, I wrote this if you're interested. Like, so trying to turn off the sales mode just because I don't want it to be, annoying.
Well, this is it, and it's a delicate balance, isn't it? Because you know, if people have seen a few times that you've written the book and they're not interested anymore, they're just gonna stop looking. Whereas if you're
Exactly.
like, "Hey, I'm a human being, and these are things I like, or this is something I
Yeah,
find interesting," that's when you start connecting with people, isn't it? Especially as
exactly.
if you're self-published, you're relying on yourself as a. I hate to say this phrase, yourself as the brand because you are. You are the publishing house. People buy into you as a person, and there are loads of really successful launches that I've seen recently for independent authors where the people believe in the person, they believe in the
Yep.
writer. They're like, okay, you're a cornerstone of the community, or you're always lifting other people up, or you're being kind, or whatever it is, or like you've offered critiques from people's work and then they kind of rally around you and help support you. That's
Yep.
what works, and that is what I've seen consistently working. And I think that's a really good move. I mean, I'm not a publicist, but I think it is a good move because people will buy into who you are and your experiences. And I mean, just hearing about the fact that you used writing book one um, as a type of therapy and, you know, as a cathartic tool, that is interesting. I want to know about stuff like that. And I'm sure other people do as well. And
Yeah.
when you hear that people, real human beings, are behind that story, it begins to have way more depth than it ever did. Because then you're like, oh, I wonder if that's, how Bree felt when this was happening. And I don't know, I just think it adds so much more value that you wouldn't necessarily get if you weren't so connected with the person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I've always wondered about in-person events because I think, as you say, if I was at a craft fair and I saw somebody with a book stall, I, unless it was specifically the type of genre that I normally go for, I wouldn't even go near it. I'd go, oh, I'd be scared that they try and sell something to me.
Yeah.
Um, so with the book events that you've done where it's been book focused, have they been like really big events? Are they small local community type ones, or is it a bit of both?
Um, a bit of both. I would say I went to Getting Witchy with It in Salem,
Mm-hmm.
Massachusetts. I'm in Buffalo, New York, so I traveled for that one out of state.
Mm-hmm.
That one was huge. There was like 100 authors in one hotel. It was
Mm-hmm.
a 2-day event. I did one of the days.
Mm-hmm.
So something like that, like I would say it's worth it. Like this specific event, I didn't quite realize that there was like I didn't know until the day of, but the people who run it, they're like, "You're one of 2 young adult authors here." The other 98 authors were like dark romance authors. So so I'm like,
Oh.
so not exactly my target audience. Not
Mm-hmm.
not saying that, they didn't read other genres or anything, but it was just
Mm-hmm.
hilarious because like there's just the amount of like dark romance and the
Mm-hmm.
NFSW art and whatnot that's going on.
Oh
And
yeah.
then here's like my little baby like YA characters that I'm like, this is Theo. So it was a hilarious event to walk into.
Mm-hmm.
Still worth it. I met a ton of
Mm-hmm.
authors there, so even just from the
Very
connection
cool.
point, but like
Mm-hmm.
there's a bunch of readers who followed me there.
Mm-hmm.
So still just getting your name out there I think is worth it. So even if it
Yeah.
doesn't happen to be your target audience, I think trying to bridge that connection and just being like, I'm here, like if you're interested, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So the other ones have been more local to me, but they've
Mm-hmm.
still been pretty big. There's one in Lewiston that's about a half an hour away from me. Um, it's called the Better Off Red Festival, and they had
Mm-hmm.
about, I believe there was about 30 authors there. So
Oh
that was
wow, that's pretty
still,
big.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because Buffalo is kind of like we're not, a big city where like
Mm-hmm.
book of cons come and stuff like that. So I was pleasantly surprised from like how many authors I met that are actually kind of like in my area.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it's just like try it out. If it's not for you, then maybe don't do that event again next year. Because that's another thing. Usually these stuff are like yearly. So like if
Mm-hmm.
you really had a bad time at this one, then just don't sign up next year. It's okay. Like you could try a different in-person event.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much where I'm at. Is just trying everything at least once and seeing how it goes.
Hmm. That's cool. So I know that you said that you find the events to be a bit stressful.
Yes.
Do you forget that when you're talking to people about your work, or is it still in the back of your mind?
When I'm actually talking to someone about the work, I'm like
Mm-hmm.
focused on the conversation, but if there's like
Mm-hmm.
a lull, it like is a curtain that comes down and I'm like when I get like a second to myself at the table, I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
okay, deep breaths, like just keep going, like and then I have to like pump myself up again to like
Mm-hmm.
do the pitch. But then that's like another thing. My best friend since high school. She comes to all the events with me.
Oh,
She's my severely underpaid personal assistant.
that's so
When
nice.
I say
That's awesome.
severely underpaid, she's not paid at all.
That's quite underpaid then.
Yeah. But she comes with me and she's very like we're the opposites of each other. She's very outgoing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much not. So like within like an hour or so, she's just like, okay, like you're doing really well, but you're starting to become like robotic because I'm saying the pitch so much that they're like,
Mm-hmm.
we're starting to hear it that you're just like reading off a script. So like take a
Mm-hmm.
breath, like try to like so she like kind of keeps me grounded of being like, you're not sounding like a human anymore. Like you do not sound enthused about this pitch. So it's nice to have that outgoing person who's just
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, hype man, I guess.
That's cool. I'm so glad that you have that, and I think it's very very cool that you are still showing up for yourself and advocating for your work and still doing things that make yourself uncomfortable to get your book in front of people. That's awesome.
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
because not a lot of people can do it, and it's okay if people can't, but I think it's very cool that you can. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Fantastic.
Thanks.
I hope to one day do an event, but I think I would be the absolute same, and I'd be like, maybe I'll hand out flyers with the spiel, and I'll just say, read this if you like reading.
Honestly, that's the hardest part because there's some people who come up right away and they just pick up
Mm,
my book and read the back, which is totally fine. But
mm,
then, like, I have absolutely no segue to like when they put the back, like the book back down, because I don't want to be like,
mm.
so what'd you think? Like, like I don't know.
Because they're mean.
Like, so I'm just always like, okay, I don't know what to say now. And then, like, they sometimes just walk away as I'm sitting there, like, nodding to myself. Like, I'm like, all right, well, you just botched that completely because I just am not a natural, like, able to just carry on a
Yeah, spring on
conversation, I
people.
guess.
Have you thought about have you thought about looking them dead in the eye and just giving them a very knowing nod? Just go, I know, because that could mean anything. Because if they didn't like it, it could be you saying like, "I didn't think you'd like it," or if they did like it and they were nervous, they'd be like, "Oh, she gets it."
Yeah. I'll have to try that one. Yeah, just a
Yeah,
dead
try
stare. I know.
it. Just like, yeah, I get it. Don't even say anything. Just like nod at them. It'd be funny, if
Yeah.
anything. Because if they're not going to buy it, they're not going to buy it. So it'd just be weird.
Yeah, because it's just like, well, you just read the book, so I can't really say the pitch again because you know what the
Mm-hmm.
book's about. So I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
yep, yep, yep. So,
Like that scene at the beginning of King of the Hill, where they're all just saying, "Yep."
yep.
Maybe you should do that. Maybe you should actually say, "Yep." That would be strange. Word would get around, and people would be like, "Don't go over to that table. She's weird." She's trying to sell a book, saying weird stuff. Oh goodness. Um. So one thing that I noticed that you've done to sort of go along with your books is that you've created playlists. I've got a couple of questions about that. But before I ask the questions, I just want to say, fantastic music choice.
Thank you. Thank
You've
you.
got a great taste in music. I saw Pearl Jam on there and nearly lost my mind. And then I saw Arctic
Yes.
Monkeys and the Strokes, and I was like, what the hell? Um, why did you create playlists, and how can people use them best alongside your books?
So good questions. First, quick side note: I actually have an
Mm-hmm.
Arctic Monkeys tattoo on my arm. I'm
You're so
obsessed with
cool.
them.
Oh, I've got a Pearl Jam tattoo.
Yes. Oh my God, we're best friends
Oh,
now.
we are. It's agreed. Agreed. That's happening.
So for the music, music is just inspires like so much. I'm
Mhm,
just always listening to music. Actually, I have a short story, Right Where It Belongs.
mhm,
It's based off the Nine Inch Nails song. It's what I just imagine when I listen to that song. I have like my own music video in my head, so I just
mhm.
wrote a short story that goes with that
Very
song.
cool.
But for strangers specifically, it's kind of a mashup. There's some songs that are just like very much like, oh, this is Draven. This is just
Mm,
Draven's song. It's Draven vibes. And
mhm,
then there's some songs that are like scene dependent, where like if I ever had a movie, I would like
mhm,
I don't know how to be in charge of the music in a movie, but I would like advocate like you have to play this song. And then the rest is just overall like general vibes.
mm,
Um, so I just annotated both book 1 and 2 as I started
mhm,
preparing for book 3. So I do have in the back of the playlist, like for me personally, I have what songs go with what scenes.
mhm,
So I think I'm going to try to create like something on Instagram or my website so people can actually
mhm.
like physically see, cuz like obviously like I can't just give away every annotated copy of my own book. That'd be great, but I can't do it. Um so I think I'm gonna make a little like cheat sheet for people, that because as of right now,
Mhm,
it's just in the back of the book.
mhm,
I also have my playlists like uh they're on my website, so like you can actually go to my Spotify and like listen to
Hmm.
the playlist. So that's one way to access it, but to actually know like whose song is who or what scene, I think I'm going to try to just make a little cheat sheet for everyone if they're interested, want to know what scenes inspired what, or what song inspired what scene.
That's cool. I love that idea. I think that's becoming more and more popular now, where people are creating playlists for their work. And I remember seeing somebody do that well over a year ago now when I first joined Twitter. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter.
Yes.
Um, and I had just started writing the book that's still not finished. And I decided to make a playlist for myself for inspiration to write because I couldn't. I don't know. It was lacking some depth. Basically, the point I was trying to get across, I was like, this person goes here, but what are they feeling? You know, where are they going? And I remember creating this playlist and also had the Arctic Monkeys on it,
Yes.
and some Misfits and like Avenged Sevenfold and some stuff like that.
Avenged Sevenfold. Oh my god, this podcast is now going to be like 3 hours long because let's just talk music.
Maybe we could do like an extended version.
Yeah.
Um, so I remember putting on this playlist, and I got in my car, and it was maybe 10 o'clock at night, and I started driving around all of the places where this book was set because I set it in my hometown at the time, and I really wanted to get into the head of my character. So I was like, I'm just gonna drive around and listen to music, and you know. And so what I did was, it sounds so creepy actually now that I'm thinking about it, but I had the music playing, and I actually set my phone to record um like a dash cam, so it was pointing outwards. So it was
Oh, okay.
pitch black. You couldn't really see anything. It was just like a flashing of car headlights and stuff. And I was just
Yeah.
talking out loud. And I listened back to it, and it's probably one of the creepiest things that exists. And I won't keep it forever, I don't think. But it helped me to kind of process. Okay, so she was fearful during this point. Let me play something creepy.
Yeah.
Or like this was a moment where you know she had a struggle or whatever it was. Um, Music is incredibly powerful, and it's a
It
really
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 is.
cool tool to help process stuff. And sometimes like the lyrics themselves can help you to think of a way of working a scene out.
Yep.
It's very cool. Very
I
cool.
have a it's not, it's on the back burner for now because I want to get through Strangers, but there's
Mm-hmm.
a book in my head for a while now. I just keep calling it Monster House right now.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to outline it and start writing it when I get a chance. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a song, "The Day That I Ruined Your Life" by Boston Manor. Like
Mm-hmm.
that entire song is just like fueled like an entire like book idea for me. And there's been like times that I just have listened to it for like 20 times in a row just because I'm just outlining like just notes like pouring out of me because of like
Mm-hmm.
this one particular song. So if that ever turns into a
That's so
book, I
cool.
feel like I need to reach out to them and be like, "Hey, thanks. Your song's great." Like I
You
love
definitely
it.
need to. You should do that and send them a copy.
Oh, yes. Yes, I should. I did. I haven't done it for book 2 yet, but book
Mm-hmm.
1, I did post my entire playlist on Instagram. I didn't like
Mm.
put what scenes or anything, but I tagged each of the bands and just said like, just so you know, like you're in my acknowledgments basically. And there was actually a
Oh.
couple bands that like reached out and was like, that's super cool. So I'm
Oh,
like,
that's really
yeah.
nice.
So I still have to do that for book 2 and just be like, thank you for your service.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. I love that. It's very cool seeing people's passions being sort of inserted into work as well. I like that very much. I also like reading something, having gotten to know the person that wrote it, that wrote it, and thinking, oh, yeah, I know why they did this, or I bet they were thinking about this thing. It's very cool. Um, So you mentioned earlier about the huge book event that you went to that was a bit weird because it wasn't particularly geared towards your audience necessarily, but you made some writer friends. That kind of segues me into asking you about the writing group. I don't know if it's one group that you're part of or if there's more than one, but what do you do? What's the point? How's it helped you? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I'm in a it's just called like a women's writing group. I don't think we have like
Mhm,
an official name outside of that. But my
mhm,
friend Rena pulled me in probably about a year and a half ago.
mhm,
But we just it's just a group on Discord. We do Wednesday night calls. It's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it
mhm,
usually runs pretty late for me because it usually goes until like 11 or midnight.
mhm,
But it's just a group of us. Like it kind of fluctuates by week whether there's 5 or 7 of us.
mhm,
But we kind of follow a schedule where like we'll have critique night where everyone brings like 1,000 words, and we'll either ask for feedback, or if you're not feeling feedback and you just want like positivity pass type thing and just like
mhm,
hype me up because I'm feeling bad about this or something, like whatever you need, like you just bring it
mhm,
and we'll try to support you in whatever way. And then
mhm,
we do like um writing exercises one week, brainstorming a third week, and then sometimes we
mhm,
do like one of the girls is like phenomenal with world building, so
mhm.
she did like kind of a PowerPoint just to like here's what I do sort of thing. So we just try to help each other out whenever we can. So it's just like a fun little weekly call where we just try to support each other. So
That's
that's
nice.
pretty much the only one I'm in. But outside of that, I just have there's some people I've met over the years through Twitter and
Mhm,
stuff that I'm just super thankful for, whether we're doing like manuscript swaps and reading for
mhm.
each other or brainstorming, whatever the case is.
That's awesome. It sounds like a significant portion of your life is taken up with something to do with your writing or writing in general. Is that fair to say?
Yes. I do have
It's your life now.
I do have a normal 40-hour day
Hmm.
job, but I'm an editorial assistant, so I just edit people's blogs all day
Hmm.
basically. And
Hmm.
then around the clock outside of that, I'm usually doing something writing
Hmm.
related. So, yeah, this is
You
my
must
life.
you must really love words and stuff.
Yeah. I was
Oh.
honestly a little scared because I've been at this job for almost 2 years now. And I was like, oh
Mhm.
my God, what if I can't write anymore? Because that's all I do on my day job is just edit stuff.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I work for like an online marketing website. So their
Mhm.
blogs are like legal blogs and plumbers
Mhm.
and stuff. So, like, I feel like it's a different part of my brain. I don't really have to be creative with it. I just have to edit it. So I lucked
Mhm.
out that I'm able to still kind of balance both, thankfully.
So you have a lot of, well, you've got a very in-depth acknowledgement section for your book, which I thought was really lovely. What made you decide to give so much sort of thank you to the people that have helped you along the way? Because it's usually it's like one sassy line. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just curious.
Um, I don't know. I think I'm just like entirely grateful. Like if you've given me like a moment of your time that you
Hmm.
really didn't have to, and I just want to say thank you for it. So it's just like I get very sappy, and I feel like that sounded sappy. But like
That's
yeah,
very cute.
I just feel like it's just especially because this goes back to like when I was querying in 2020. So there's like
Hmm.
and I felt so bad because I know there's a few writers that did like early readings for me, and like I just have a terrible memory. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't remember everyone to thank. So like I throw in
Hmm.
a line like if I forgot you, I'm also super sorry. Like it was not intentional. But I feel like it's just like writing in a way is a very lonely thing because like you're
Mm.
the one like it you are in your own head for x amount of time, whether it's 4 months or 4 years or 10 years, whatever. Like you are doing the thing, but you also don't have to be alone all the time. And I feel like if
Hmm.
you find your writing community, whether it's you know I have some like friends just in my own personal life that don't like know anything about writing, and they're not even really readers, but
Hmm.
they make sure that like I go on like a weekly walk with someone, and they're just like you just need fresh air. So like just even little things like that just like
Mm.
remind you that it's just like you're not entirely alone. Like you might be alone writing the book. No one's helping you do that, but all the
Hmm.
outside stuff, and I'm grateful for the the people who've helped in some sort of way.
You're so nice.
Also, I just want to add just a PSA for anyone who's listening. If they don't have that, I'm your family now, so just reach out to me.
I'm gonna cry. That's so nice. She really means it, by the way. That's a genuine offer, people. That's so sweet.
I just feel like
There's
what is that Captain Sully or whatever where he's like I'm the captain now. I feel like I just did that like I'm your family now, but in a non-threatening way.
A
If you
tiny bit threatening because some
yeah,
people might need that push.
that's
That's
true.
very cool. That something I love about the indie community, whether people have self-published or they've gone through an indie publisher, is just how the majority of people are very kind and will always make time for you or give you a bit of advice because as I've said, that's like my catchphrase, as I've said in other episodes. Because you might not have heard that yet, so I'm telling you, it's you and I that are having a conversation. Is that oh, my brain's gone blank.
Oh
I don't know what I was gonna say. That's so funny.
no.
As
And
I
you've
might
said it
have said,
before.
I've said it before and I don't remember. I told you this would happen. I've completely gone blank.
I was gonna
Anyway,
say you're talking about
life's
the
good.
indie.
No, it's that everyone is really, really kind, and I think the majority of people understand that it's not a competition. It's not like if one person succeeds, it does good for the rest of the community of people that try and sell their books. Something that Mark Paxson said in the interview that I had with him, and his episode is going to go out after yours, so this is like weird episodeception. So what Mark said was that something that he offers people is essentially like a free look over your work for consistency and sort of like editorial services for free. And the reason he does that is so that he can help toward sort of changing the perception of indie books. Because there are still some people that go, well, if a big publishing house didn't pick it up, it must be crap, or it must be terribly written. That's just simply not true. There are some, books that have come from huge publishing houses that, quite frankly, are dog shit, and they made it through all the hoops. And then there are people who are like, well, nobody wanted to take a look at my book, and here it is in all its glory, and it's amazing and fantastic and fabulous. And people won't give it a chance because they self-published it. Go away. That's stupid. Not stupid. It's just misinformed. I think definitely not stupid. That was a mean thing to say.
It's a little stupid.
It's a little bit stupid. It's stupid with two O's, not like
Yeah.
stupid. It's like stupid.
Yes.
It's slightly different.
Yeah.
So I know you have the first two books, and you did mention book 3. I know that you started outlining that at the moment. Do you already know what it's going to look like, or is it still in the conception phase at the moment?
We're a little past conception phase, but also there's so this was Strangers was always supposed to be a trilogy.
Mm.
Um Now that I'm on book 3, there's a lot of stuff I need to tie up, and I want to make sure that it's just at least like satisfying for everyone, because you don't want to just
Mhm.
end a series and people be like, well, what the fuck, why did I just spend all this time reading a series for no closure?
Yeah.
So my plan is I'm just going to write until the finish line more or less and see where I
Mhm.
am word count. So if it needs to absolutely be split into book 4 or 4
Mhm.
books just because it's so huge, then so be it.
Mhm.
I'm still pretty confident that it's going to be a trilogy. It's just book 3 is probably going to be a little chunkier than 1 and 2.
Mhm.
Um, so for the most part, I know how the series ends.
Mhm.
It's just getting there and just tying up everyone's stories. So that's why I'm still kind of in the brainstorming, outlining phase of how do we get
Mhm.
from A to B. But I have a good grasp on the things that need to happen. It's just now figuring out where and how everyone's stories cross and come together.
Mhm.
So hopefully, as of right now, I wanted to finish my outline by the end of the month. Whether that's
Mhm.
possible, I don't know. I've been
Mhm.
slacking. So,
It
but
happens.
yeah.
It's fine.
So we're chugging along at this point, but hopefully regardless,
Mhm.
I'll be finishing the story, drafting it this year, and then we'll see if it's going to be uh 3 and 4 or just 3 and the series is over.
Is that going to be hard for you to let it go, or is it going to be a oh, it's done, I can relax now?
Um as of this moment, I really feel like it's going to be hard because these characters just live in my head and they've been with me since 2019.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping a little bit when I finish their story that they don't necessarily go away because I'm going to miss them, but I'm just
Mhm.
hoping that I don't have really brilliant thoughts after the fact. And I'm like, oh, I could have done this with them because that will make me
Mhm.
mad. um, but I do have thoughts about keeping the door cracked open on the Strangers
Mm.
universe. So the trilogy or possible 4 books, that will be the closure of Gemma and Theo's story.
Mhm.
But I do have thoughts of maybe down the line of how it could easily be more books in the same universe. But I would like to
Mhm.
change tracks and go to like Monster House first and stuff like that. So that would be way down
Mhm.
the road. So as hard as it's going to be to say goodbye to them, I think it's going to be more like see you later because I could definitely see them making an appearance in different books, kind of like
Mhm.
Easter eggs, if it's in the same universe. So
Mhm.
we'll see.
You're never going to say goodbye to them because you've immortalized them in print.
That's true. Yes.
You could just pick up a book and say, "Hi, I know this story, but I just missed you."
That's true. I'm kind of scared though to like read these though in the future. That's why I'm annotating them now because like
Mhm.
obviously I mean hopefully fingers crossed that I become like a better writer as I continue to grow. So I'm so worried I'm going to read these
Mhm.
books in like 5 years and be like, "Oh my god. These are terrible." So I don't know if I would ever go back to really read them. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah. It depends how, I don't know, homesick you get for the universe.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe
that's
you'll
true.
be able to overlook the cringe and just enjoy the moment.
Hopefully. I was happy I was happy after the fact. I annotated both books back to back because I really just wanted to refresh everything before I started
Mhm.
outlining book 3. And I still really thoroughly enjoy them. So I felt like that was a win
Oh,
because I just
yeah,
really love this story and it wasn't cringy to me. So hopefully that's good
that's good.
news. It's not cringy for everyone else.
I think that's pretty positive. I've got high hopes for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We've reached the end. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so
Yes.
much for joining me today. I'm really glad that you took a chance on this weird woman from the internet. And thank you for taking part in the website and thank you for taking part in the podcast. It's been really cool getting to know you and reading your work. And I really hope that somebody listens to this and thinks, oh, yeah, go on, let's give that book a go. Or joins your family, which will
Yes.
also be very nice.
Join me. Uh, yes, I'm a big. You will always find a found family in my books.
Mhm,
I won't go into all the personal reasons why, but found
mhm.
family is so dear to me. So if you need someone, I get it. So just reach out. I'm
That's
socially awkward, but I'm accepting. So
all. That's all people need is
yeah.
acceptance. Before I let you leave, where can our listeners find you and your work? Not
Yeah.
your address, just like online.
Yes. Well, first, thank you so much for having me and doing all this because you have gone above and beyond for this website, and I'm appreciative. And I'm sure all the other
Oh,
indie
thank you.
writers are as well. It's a really cool
Thank you.
idea that you had, and it's been fun seeing it blossom. You
Oh,
can
thanks.
you can find me on my website. I've tried to keep everything as simple as possible. My website is just brieberhart.com. It's
Mhm,
BRIEBERHART.com. And then I am on Twitter and Instagram.
mhm.
Both have the same handle. It's Brie underscore Eberhart on both of them. So,
Great.
wherever you want to find me, I am around.
Amazing. I will put those links in the description of the episode.
Awesome.
You also have an author feature on Indiosyncrasy. I'll put the link for that in the description as well if people want to go have a look at that. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, and
Thank you.
hopefully we can do this again sometime.
I'm in.